flights, what we have seen it is the command example. Again we will repeat it, some of the part of it. So this is a add command, and then command encapsulates this additional request and additional log request or anything support of addable type of operations, and then it will request will be there, and this will be act as an object, and this command will be act as an object. So this is additional objects which will additional type of an object that will be requested from the client itself. So the command design pattern, so you can see now receiver action is there. This is instantiated by the client, and then receiver action will be there, the execution will be there. So the command will be concrete command will be again executed with the help of along with the receiver action. So additional request will be, and it will be just like acting as a object. Now the iterator example. Now iterator provides a way to access the elements of an aggregate object sequentially without exposing its underlying representation. So it will not representation, it will not harm to any representation. So it will go to the access the elements of an aggregate object sequentially without exposing its underlying operations. So provides, now iterator will be there, it provides a key way to access the elements of an aggregate object sequence. So now you can see now here, so this is actually the aggregate element which is the iterator. Okay, there is instantiation from the stack, and this is the aggregation element, the way to access the elements on aggregate object sequentially. So this is a sequence one, okay, without exposing this representation. So this is a representation, this is a representation, but without exposing it any representation. So there is access of elements of an a stack iterator from the by the stack one. So you can have a list also, list can expose it, so a list can access it, the list iterator also. So the list iterator can be list iterator can take the member functions from the another one, that is a list one. So iterative design pattern. So this is one of the thing which we have seen it. Iterator provides a way to access the elements of an aggregate objects, elements of aggregate objects. So this is elements of aggregate objects. So this is aggregation of both these classes. So elements of, it has to instantiate, so it has to access the elements of the aggregation objects. So instantiate will be there from the concrete aggregate, and it will take the operations from the concrete iterator to the concrete aggregate. Okay, so it will instantiate and it will take the operations to the concrete iterator. So it will be exposed, it will be without having a disturbing the representation, it will take the operations from the concrete iterator to the concrete aggregate. So observer example. The observer defines a one-to-many dependency between the objects, so that when one object changes state, all its dependents are notified and updated automatically. So observer now defines one-to-many dependencies. So there are one-to-many dependencies are there. You can see now there is a one-to-many dependency. There is subject is one of the object, and then class, and then also observer is there. One-to-many dependencies there, and you can see now here between the objects, so that when one object changes state, all its dependents are notified. When there is a change in the subject, then there will be change in all the dependencies classes objects also. There will be change in the subject get data, subject get draw data. So there will be change in the, if you change it into the one of the class or one of the objects, then there will be reflections of changes into the another classes and another objects also. So this is observer example. So observer design, now you can see now same example. So subject is one of the classes where it has to change it, and then change will be happening to the observer and concrete observer also. And you can see that there must be change into this aggregation observer also. So concrete example, concrete subject also. So subject notation will be there. Now state example. This is very important, that the state allows an object to alter its behavior when its internal state changes. So if there is any changes in internal states, it has to change its behavior. Just like of our organ, something happens to your heart, something happens to your brain, then there will be change in some of the part of our organ. So it has to be internal part. So there is a change in the sum of the state of internal state, then external states will be changed, the behavior will be changed, the object